Hey, how's everyone? Yeah. All right, so I once heard someone saying that words that are not carved on stone end up being carried by the wind. And in our work, we spend a lot of time just on meetings. We spend about like a quarter of our time on those meetings. So it's a very big deal. It's very important. And the question is, when you leave the room, can you remember what was discussed? I mean, in my case, I don't even remember how many cups of coffee I had the last 2 days. So it is very important. And the thing is, when we don't remember, we have to waste a lot of time doing follow-ups, talking to people, getting notes that are badly written by people who were not paying much attention, probably. So how can we leverage AI to solve our problems on these very important meetings? And to do that, I'd like to call Newton. Newton?
Awesome, thanks, Daniel. So as Daniel mentioned, we wanted to increase the organizational efficiency and productivity during meetings. And for that, we created MeetScribe, which is a smart meeting assistant that attends the meetings with you and transcribes everything that's said into a meeting into a very nicely compact meeting notes. And also it creates detailed summaries for you to catch up and see later on in case you don't have the time to read the entire notes. This is really relevant because once you leave, you have meeting notes. Once you leave the meeting, you'll have the meeting notes sitting in your outbox or inbox and your OneNote, and you can literally later on, a week later, if you don't remember what was discussed, you can just Control F and find out exactly what were the topics. And this also helps managers kind of understand what are the topics being covered over time, and it helps employees just kind of boost their productivity. And for now, without further ado, we'll go into the demo.
So for this demo, as you may have already understood, it's not just a speech-to-text thingy. It's what MeetScribe does is it does speech-to-text recognition, as well as, at the same time, it does speaker recognition. So it would be better if we show you the entire thing with a demo. So we have just created a minor script, which actually shows a meeting. So 3 of us will be actually talking to each other as if we are in a meeting, and the demo will act up.
OK, so refreshing now.
I called this meeting to decide a deadline for our current project.
Hey, Danny, what's the status of the web project?
Hey, I think I'm waiting on a response from the Beijing team.
Do you want me to help you with that?
That would be really great.
Please remind me about this after the meeting.
Sure.
So we can't settle down with hard deadline today?
Yeah, I agree. So let's settle for just the ending of July for now.
Thank you.
OK, so this is where, yeah. So this is where, as you may have already seen, MeetScribe was, OK, please, the demo is not done yet. So as you were already seeing, MeetScribe was actually transcribing all the meeting notes, but that's not it. What MeetScribe did was, at the same time, it pushed all the content. Can you open the OneNote page? It pushed all the content of the meeting in the team's shared OneNote. We hacked into the Microsoft Graph API for that. And what also MeetScribe did was, this was the transcription of the entire thing, yeah? And OK, I'll hurry. This is the meeting summary. So if you were actually listening to our conversation, the meeting summary says pretty much about the useful stuff. So right now, we are just using a bare bones text summarizer. But with more fixing, it can do much better. Back to the presentation. So the tech stack that we are using is we are essentially using 4 APIs. One of them is the Bing Speech API. OK. The next is the Speaker Recognition API, which was the thing you saw on the web client. The next thing is we are using a text summarizer. After that, we are hacking into the Microsoft Graph API for pushing stuff into OneNote. And we could have done it so what you saw was not a hack. It was a hack, but it was all real. It was all done right now on the stage, right? So we could have done it for Outlook. We could have sent an email to all the people in the meeting, right? So okay. We are also taking care of inclusivity and accessibility. So these things, they're pretty important nowadays. So we already, okay. So MeetScribe does not only take care of English language, it's taking care of 4 other languages. So if you are speaking in Chinese, you would actually see stuff come up in Chinese there. And accessibility, yeah. So when it comes to accessibility, we can think of a whole lot scenarios where it can be used by disabled people. It's a meeting, yeah? So, okay. Any questions, please? Yeah, sure. So she just asked to see the text summarization output. It's here. So right now, what we are doing is, as I said, it's just a bare bones text summarizer. So what we have done is we are essentially taking the size of half of the string we have, and we are just summarizing it. But it's yeah.
Based on that, we give preferences to different keywords. And based on that, you'll see our summarizer, even though it's bare bones, when we were practicing with it, we actually got pretty good results. So even for this big transcript, it actually picked up the main topics where we have to decide on a deadline, and we have to follow up after the meeting, and we
cannot settle for a strict deadline right now.
Yep.
So with this problem, I know some other people are working on this. One thing that's kind of tough is if you don't say something normally, like the way you hear people say it on the radio if you were singing. Did you try testing anything like that rather than just like normal speech?
We didn't test for singing, but I see your problem. I see your question. For all the scenarios we tried, we were kind of having different speeds at which we were speaking, kind of different tones and all that. And for that, it was very accurate. And even for other languages, so you could choose any one of these 6 languages we support, and it will start transcribing in that language. So if you're having a meeting in France, like all of your notes can be in French. But we haven't done for kind of more edge cases like those.
And we won't be actually singing in a conference room, but I believe that since we are using Microsoft Cognitive Services API, it's basically based on neural networks, and Microsoft does have a lot of training data to train the neural networks. So I think it would be pretty good at that too. Any other questions? Yeah. So.
If you want to continue working on the summarizer, there is a Microsoft research scientist, Michelle Galeta, did a PhD thesis on meeting summarization. So you may want to look at his PhD thesis for some ideas.
Okay, thank you. We'll definitely look at that. Thank you.
First of all, the Microsoft Graph API winners. So this one was like a unanimous winner for Microsoft. It's MeetScribe. Oh, we have 3 judges? Okay. You take this, I'll take that.
Who's this one for?
Sorry?
Who's this for?
This one's for the 4th team. Yeah. I'll just give it. I'll let Boris give it to them. No. So that's the bag. There's just one bag. Sorry. So, well done, guys. I'm like all booked. Thank you, and well done.